Every day you wake up, you are participating in a game where the rules are rigged against your survival. Modern financial institutions don't want you to default on your debt, but they never want you to pay it off either. They want you stuck in the mathematical middle, paying the minimum balance month after month, converting your daily hard labor into corporate profit margins for companies headquartered in New York and London. Welcome to Day 4 of our Strategic Wealth Sequence. Yesterday, we executed the 30-day emergency savings sprint to force rapid liquidity into your ecosystem. Today, we are turning that idle capital into a high-powered projectile. We are going on the offensive to dismantle the single greatest wealth destroyer in the Western world, consumer debt. Most people treat debt recovery as a moral failure, trying to fix it with vague budgeting. This is why they fail. Debt is not a moral issue, it is a structural warfare problem. To win, you must choose between two ruthless mathematical weapons, the Snowball and the Avalanche. Before we unlock the mechanics, take a second to look down. If you are ready to target your liabilities, comment the word "target" below. Let's look at the blueprint. To understand the urgency of this battle, you must look at the math you were never taught in school. When you carry a credit card balance at a 24% annual percentage rate, compound interest is working in reverse. It is a financial parasite eating your future freedom while you sleep, compounding against you every 24 hours. Look at your monthly statement. The bank carefully highlights the minimum payment due. This number is a calculated psychological trap. It is mathematically designed to keep you paying for 40 years on a balance that should have taken 2. It covers the interest accrued but leaves the principal balance virtually untouched. When you pay only the minimum, you aren't managing your debt, you are renting your own lifestyle from the bank. That $3,000 vacation or luxury retail purchase ends up costing you over $10,000 by the time the loop finally closes. You are trading real hours of your finite human life for temporary consumer dopamine. To launch an effective counterattack, you must first gather military intelligence on your own liabilities. This means stopping the avoidance behavior. You need to open every app, download every statement, and face the absolute ground truth. You must construct what wealth architects call the master debt matrix. In this matrix, you will list 3 critical numbers for every single liability you owe: the total balance remaining, the annual percentage rate, and the mandatory minimum monthly payment. Do not group them together. Treat each account as an independent enemy unit occupying a specific sector of your financial territory. Once your matrix is complete, you must choose your tactical doctrine. The first approach is the cold, analytical framework known as the debt avalanche. This method is built on pure mathematical optimization. It has one single objective: to minimize the total amount of interest fees paid to institutions. Under the avalanche doctrine, you organize your liabilities in strict order from the highest interest rate down to the lowest interest rate, completely ignoring the total balance size. Your primary financial projectile, the cash surplus you built yesterday, is directed entirely at the top card on the list. While you pour every available dollar into crushing that highest interest rate account, you maintain only the bare minimum payments on all the remaining debts below it. You don't scatter your forces. You focus the entire pressure of your economic engine on a single point until the structure collapses. The moment that first high-interest card hits 0, you have achieved an invisible structural victory. You have effectively secured a guaranteed, tax-free return equal to that interest rate. If the card was charging 26%, destroying it is the exact equivalent of finding an investment fund that pays a guaranteed 26% annual yield. But here is where the model confronts human reality. The debt avalanche is mathematically perfect, but human beings are not mathematical equations. If your highest interest debt happens to be a massive $25,000 personal loan, it could take you 18 months of aggressive payments before that single account is fully closed. For 18 months, you sacrifice your lifestyle, you execute the protocols, but you don't see a single account disappear. The psychological weight remains identical. Your brain, starved of visual feedback and micro-victories, experiences willpower fatigue. This is why 90% of people who choose the avalanche quit before reaching the finish line. To solve this behavioral flaw, wealth architects developed a psychological countermeasure, the debt snowball. This framework turns its back on pure mathematics and focuses entirely on human behavior. It recognizes that to win a long war, your brain needs immediate, tangible proof of victory. Under the snowball protocol, you take your master debt matrix and completely ignore the interest rate column. Instead, you rearrange your debts strictly by the total balance size, listing them from the absolute smallest remaining balance down to the largest. Your target is now the easiest target on the map. You take the entire surplus generated from your 30-day sprint and you attack the smallest balance on your list with ruthless force, while continuing to pay only the mandatory minimums on the larger ones. Because the balance is small, it doesn't take months to move, it takes weeks, or sometimes just days. Within the first month, that small debt is completely erased. You receive an official notification stating the account balance is zero. Your brain experiences a massive surge of psychological momentum. You see undeniable, physical proof that you are winning the battle against the banking matrix. You have eliminated an entire enemy unit from your horizon. You have one less monthly payment to track, one less bill arriving in your email, and one less mental weight hanging over your lifestyle. You have successfully converted mathematical inefficiency into psychological velocity. Now, the true power of the snowball occurs. You do not absorb that old minimum payment back into your daily lifestyle. You take the entire monthly cash allocation from that dead debt, combine it with your ongoing sprint surplus, and roll it directly into attacking the next smallest debt on your matrix. Your financial projectile has just increased its mass. When you roll the first dead debt's payment into the second target, you aren't just adding numbers, you are altering the velocity of your recovery. The second debt on your master matrix might be twice the size of the first, but because your projectile weapon is now heavier, the time required to destroy it remains almost identical. You are outrunning the compound interest timeline. To choose between these two systems, you must perform a cold assessment of your own behavioral vulnerabilities. If you look at your past spending habits and see a pattern of starting projects and abandoning them when results don't appear in 30 days, the avalanche will kill your momentum. You absolutely require the behavioral medicine of the snowball. The mathematical penalty of choosing the snowball over the avalanche is usually far smaller than the banks want you to believe. For the average household carrying $15,000 in credit card liabilities, the total interest difference between the two methods over a 3-year repayment period is often less than a few $100s. A few $100s of interest difference is irrelevant compared to the cost of staying in debt for an extra 5 years because you quit your plan. In behavioral design, execution velocity always trumps theoretical perfection. The system that you can actually stick to until your balances hit absolute zero is the mathematically perfect system for your life. Once your chosen doctrine is deployed, you do not simply sit back and wait. You launch tactical operations to lower the friction within the matrix itself. This is called rate compression. Even while executing the snowball, your objective is to force your high-interest credit card companies to lower their annual percentage rates without altering your balance. The most powerful tool for rate compression in the US and UK financial markets is the 0% balance transfer credit card. If your credit score is still functional, you can apply for a specialized consolidation card that offers an introductory 0% interest rate on transferred balances for 12, 18, or 24 full months. When you execute a balance transfer, you are effectively buying time. If you move a $5,000 balance from a card charging 24% interest onto a 0% transfer card, you instantly stop the financial bleeding. For the next 18 months, every single dollar of your sprint surplus goes directly toward reducing the principal debt. But you must read the fine print of the banking infrastructure. Balance transfers carry a one-time transaction fee, typically between 3 and 5% of the total transferred amount. More importantly, if you fail to wipe out the entire balance before the introductory period expires, the interest rate frequently resets to an even higher preset penalty rate. A balance transfer card is not a license to breathe easy or return to old spending behaviors. It is not debt relief, it is merely a tactical relocation of your liability. It is a time-bound shield designed to keep the parasite from growing while your primary financial weapon, your cash flow engine, attacks the core principle. If your credit score prevents you from accessing 0% transfer cards, you deploy your second tactical option, a fixed-rate debt consolidation loan. You approach credit unions or peer-to-peer lending infrastructure to secure a single personal loan with a fixed interest rate that is significantly lower than the average of your credit cards combined. By using a consolidation loan to pay off 5 different high-interest credit cards instantly, you convert a chaotic multi-front war into a simple, single-front battle. You no longer manage 5 different due dates, 5 different web portals, and 5 different interest calculations. You have one single fixed target to eliminate. However, behavioral statistics reveal a dark truth about consolidation loans. Over 70% of individuals who use a loan to clear their credit card balances end up running up new balances on those same credit cards within the next 24 months. They treat the newly cleared limits as free spending capacity rather than empty traps. To guarantee you do not fall into this trap, you must execute the plastic cleanse. The exact day your consolidation loan clears your credit card balances, you contact the card issuers and request to either permanently close the accounts or reduce the credit limits down to a minimum baseline. You must physically destroy the trap mechanisms. Modern financial gurus often warn against closing credit card accounts because it can temporarily lower your credit utilization score. This advice is a trap designed for people who want to remain professional borrowers forever. Your objective is not to build a high score so you can borrow more. Your objective is to build real wealth so you never need to borrow again. An elite financial architecture prioritizes liquidity, net worth, and active cash flow over an arbitrary credit rating score. Cash inside your high-yield savings sub-accounts provides real-world protection. A high credit score only provides the permission to incur more debt. Separate yourself from the borrower mindset. To force the completion of your master debt matrix ahead of schedule, we activate the final acceleration engine, the scarcity catalyst. For the next 90 days, you treat your economic ecosystem as if your primary income has been reduced by exactly 30%. You force an artificial state of scarcity. The 30% of your income that you have artificially sequestered does not sit in a drawer. It is automatically routed to your active debt target the exact hour your paycheck hits your primary clearing account. You learn to survive on the remaining 70% because the choice has been entirely removed from your daily willpower. Human beings possess an extraordinary capacity for behavioral adaptation. When you have access to funds, your lifestyle naturally expands to consume them, a phenomenon known as Parkinson's law. But when you artificially restrict your available capital at the structural source, your operational costs naturally contract to match the constraint. Within 2 weeks of activating the scarcity catalyst, the psychological friction disappears. You adjust to your new baseline. You find creative, low-cost alternatives for grocery allocations, entertainment, and utilities. Meanwhile, your master debt matrix is collapsing at a speed that would have seemed impossible 3 months ago. As we approach the final tactical phase of our debt eradication blueprint, we will explore the precise mechanics of negotiating directly with collections agencies and clearing old marks from your financial record. This is where you finalize your defensive wall, completely clearing the field for active wealth expansion in tomorrow's chapter. For many, the deepest sector of the financial trap involves accounts that have already crossed the line into default. These are debts that have been packaged, discounted, and sold to third-party collection agencies in the United States and the United Kingdom. To win this specific engagement, you must realize that you are no longer dealing with your original bank. You are dealing with predatory asset buyers. Collection agencies buy your uncollected debt for pennies on the dollar. If you owe $10,000, an agency might have purchased that liability for a mere $300. This massive margin is their structural vulnerability. It means they do not need you to pay the full balance to make a profit. They are highly incentivized to settle. This brings us to the settlement protocol. You do not call an agency and offer to pay them a small monthly sum. This only validates the debt and restarts the legal statute of limitations. Instead, you wait until you have accumulated a single, one-time lump sum of cash from your 30-day sprint, and you make a final take it or leave it offer. Your offer starts at exactly 25% of the total alleged balance. You tell the agency agent a cold, calculated script. You have a small pool of capital, you are speaking to multiple creditors, and you will award this cash to the first agency that agrees to settle your balance in full today and delete the entry from your record. Never send a single dollar to a collection agency based on a verbal promise over the phone. If an agent says they accept your 25% offer, you reply with a strict boundary. You will transfer the funds only after you receive an official, physical document stating, settled in full, and guaranteeing a pay for delete action. Securing a pay for delete agreement is critical. If you simply pay a collection agency without forcing them to remove the trade line from your credit profile, your score will remain heavily suppressed for up to 7 years. You must force the systematic eradication of the digital evidence of your past financial captivity. As your balances systematically hit zero one by one, your economic ecosystem begins to experience a violent structural transformation. The money that used to flow out of your life to fund bank bonuses is now trapped inside your perimeter. You are effectively shifting your status from an economic consumer to an economic owner. The constant, ambient mental friction of debt, the fear of opening your mailbox, the anxiety of answering unknown phone numbers, the exhaustion of calculated survival, disappears. Your mind, freed from the constant survival noise, suddenly gains the cognitive capacity to think long-term. You can now build architecture instead of just managing fires. When you have no consumer debt, your true income is unlocked. If you earn $4,000 a month and have zero debt payments, you are functionally wealthier than someone earning $10,000 a month who has to send $7,000 back to creditors to service their liabilities. Net cash flow is the only metric that matters. Remember our master financial blueprint from day 2, the modified 50-30-20 rule. With your liabilities eradicated, your 20% future block is no longer a defensive tool used to patch up past mistakes. It is now a high-powered wealth compounding weapon ready for immediate deployment. Do not let the marketing matrix pull you back in. The banking infrastructure will notice your newly cleared limits and your rising credit score. They will immediately bombard your mailbox with premium credit cards offering travel rewards, luxury cashback points, and gold-plated status symbols. This is the bait to re-enter the cage. The financial elite do not build their fortunes by chasing credit card miles or points. These rewards are mathematical breadcrumbs scattered by banks to ensure you continue playing their transaction velocity game. True wealth is not measured by the color of your credit card, it is measured by the volume of your cash-generating assets. Now that your defensive wall is impenetrable, your liabilities are zero, and your active surplus is locked, you have completed the prerequisite phases of wealth building. You are no longer defensive. You have earned the right to step onto the true global playing field. You are ready to become an asset owner. Tomorrow, we are crossing the definitive threshold. We are leaving the world of saving, cutting expenses, and debt recovery completely behind. In day 5, we are breaking down the exact execution framework required to deploy your first $1,000 into the global stock market safely, securely, and automatically. Most beginners avoid investing because they are terrified of market volatility and complex financial jargon. They assume you need a degree from an elite university to understand the stock market. Tomorrow, we will strip away the institutional gatekeeping and show you the exact index funds used by the wealthiest families to build generation-spanning fortunes. When you buy an index fund, you stop being a customer of corporations and you become a part owner of them. When millions of people around the world buy products from Apple, Microsoft, or Amazon, a fraction of that worldwide transaction velocity flows directly into your net worth. You are finally on the winning side of capitalism. Tonight, your mission is to finalize your master debt matrix and make your tactical choice between the Snowball and the Avalanche. If you have already made your commitment, ensure you leave your mark in the comment section below. This community is moving forward as a collective unit, tracking every milestone in real time. The momentum you have built over the last 4 days is highly volatile. If you stop executing now, the gravity of your old habits will pull you back down into the consumer matrix. Secure your subscription, click the notification bell, and prepare your mental bandwidth for tomorrow's deployment sequence. Remember, the ultimate goal of financial architecture is not luxury consumption. It is time sovereignty. It is the ability to wake up every single morning and realize that your schedule belongs entirely to you. You have successfully conquered the parasite of debt. Your economic engine is now clean, unburdened, and fully fueled. Get your matrix ready. Clear your mind. The defensive war is over. Tomorrow, the offensive campaign begins. I will see you in day 5, where we take your capital and deploy it to build your very first permanent passive revenue streams.